How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Roderick with us, which is a lifelong entrepreneur. So, Roderick, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, well, here's what's funny, Harry. First of all, thanks for having me. When you told me the question, you said you'd give me a couple minutes. I said I'd rather do it on the fly, and I think that's how most entrepreneurs operate. So I may stumble, I may fall, but failure is just learning, right?
Absolutely.
Actually, that can be our first step.
I love it.
I was just giving a keynote up in Ohio to a school, and they asked me, they're middle schoolers, and they asked me what's the number one thing I should be focusing on. And it was that there is no failure. You either learn or you win. And I think if you can adopt that mindset, you're unstoppable because you'll try anything, you'll do anything, and eventually those things will lead to success. It's like Edison, right? I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work, I think is the quote. That would be number one. Number two, I would say don't focus on the money. I think when you come from a place of service, it might sound a little woo-woo, but you come from a place of love and always wanting what is best for the other person, whether it's an employee or a potential client, etc. I think the money naturally follows after that. So I think not being focused on the number will get you there faster. I think trusting that other people are smarter than you and they don't want your job. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs won't hire because they're afraid that, well, they'll just run the company. Well, not everybody wants to run the company. People are happy being in accounting. That's their love, right? So I think, not being afraid to hire people underneath you that are smarter than you is another big one. I think number four, I would say not caring what other people think. I always say you're better off being independent of the good opinion of others. And I emphasize the good opinion of others when we live in a world of likes and comments and shares and social media. So I think going your own way, knowing that if you know 1,000 people, you have 1,000 reputations. So just do what you want with your life. And then finally, pick a niche and stick to it. I coach a lot of other coaches. I primarily work with custom home builders because my history is in real estate and development and construction. So I went to Brown, got my ICF. They'll teach you that you can coach anyone because we're all human beings, right? And we're all creative, resourceful, and whole. But when you talk to everyone, who do you talk to? No one. So nobody hears your messaging. So I think picking a niche and sticking with it, and that can be true in any industry. You're not just a lawyer, you're an auto injury lawyer in Myrtle Beach. You're not just a custom home builder, you do modern green building. I think picking that will get you further than almost any other tactic in business.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Roderick. And my first business was in real estate. Yeah, we managed to sell over 5 million doing this. And I tell you, this is what happened. This is a true story. Yeah, at the beginning, I'm building my business. Yeah, I was doing something we call rent to rent. So we're renting the houses, fix them up, make them nice, and rent them again. Yeah.
Yep.
And so at the beginning, I'm running this business all by myself. Yes, and I have this on trust of people. I have this mindset. Yeah, about hiring people. And I'm thinking, wow. I will never hire anyone to this business. I do it everything myself. How can I give the key of the property that I'm managing to other person? What happens if somebody opens the door and steal a computer? Or, or they take the money and they go and collect the rent and they take the money and run away. No way. But Roderick, at some point, I was exhausted because I couldn't grow more than 7 houses. I couldn't physically do it. I have a job back then because I was building my business. I have a job parallel, yeah, until the business took off. But the flip side is that when I surrendered with this idea, I think that I never surrendered. It was out of necessity.
Sure. That's a lot of entrepreneur stories.
I couldn't physically operate. anymore. Like I couldn't even get one more house. So it was like, if I want to grow, I need some help. I cannot do it by myself. I can physically, have the thing. So, but then something magic happened. The people that I start to hire, they're better than me at everything.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of it. Yeah, I was telling everybody, you won't believe, a room that takes me so much to rent. The girls that I'm hiring, the mates in there, they rented faster, more expensive. I don't know what these girls are doing. So, but literally everybody was better than me at everything. To the point that one day I arrived to the office and the girl told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you here anymore. We can run this business without you. I'm like, you don't need paper for the photocopy? He said, no, we can get our own paper. Travel the world, do something. The guests will tell me, actually, the problem in this company is you that come to talk to us and don't let us work. so, so Roderick, I think that this point that you touch is really, really important. That's why I want to stress it. Like you said, don't be afraid to hire people that they are better than you. What do you think that the challenge that entrepreneurs have out there? Do you think that when ego goes in the way, oh, I'm the boss, I'm the smartest person in the room, everybody what to have to do what I say? Um, once you realize, because a lot of people entrepreneurs still behaving like this, and then they're suffering. Companies not making enough money, everybody's arguing the company, and it's a lot of bad energy. Nobody even knows what happened. But I think is that culture, right? A lot of millionaires, over I interview over 500 millionaires so far in this podcast, and a lot of them, especially tech, when I ask them how you will do things again, they will tell me, Harry, I will put more attention in culture. I didn't know that was so important. And if I knew, then I will put more attention in culture, in the people that I hire, the people that work with me to make me feel that good. So, Rodri, why out of the 5 steps you choose this one? So clearly it's important for you.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So like I said, I primarily work with custom home builders, and typically, and it varies by area, but they're going to get to $2 or $3 million a year, and they can't grow, and they don't know why. And it's exactly to your point. They're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and they didn't build the systems when they started. Now they don't have time to build the systems, and they have to keep the machine running. So my tagline for my business is reclaim your time, sanity, and profits. And I focus on time because when I can get your time back, everything else improves. Company morale improves, profits go up, your relationships improve, your health improves. Literally every
100%.
metric goes up when I can start to get back your time.
100%.
And we've got that replacement ladder where it's okay, first we're hiring admin, then we're hiring ops, then we're hiring sales and marketing, then we're hiring management. And then eventually, which is the point you got to, you can just sit back and the thing runs itself. You can hire a CEO because you've built the systems that everybody can follow. And I think there's two hangups that I see. One, all business problems are people problems. We're all human beings dealing with other human beings, selling to other human beings, working with other human beings. So we all have our own hangups, and entrepreneurs on the whole think or know that they can do it better than anybody else. That's why they went out on their own. And they have trouble accepting, to your point again, that somebody might be able to do a specific part of that business better than them. But they also have trouble letting go. And this is me too. This is you. This is
We all
everybody.
been there.
We're definitely not pointing
Somebody
fingers,
tell
right?
me, we all been there. We just need to realize that we have to surrender, but we all been there, Roderick, right?
Yeah, and I think it's nobody. I've never had a business, and I've never coached someone who's had a business where the employees, I will say with rare exception, will work as hard as the entrepreneur or the owner. And you have to have a threshold of that's good enough that if they're giving you 60% of what your output is because it's your baby and you'll literally walk through fire to get things to work, if they're giving you 60, 80%, that's a really good employee. That's not
Absolutely.
somebody that's not doing the 20%, right? So I think it's a
Your
mindset
job is
shift more
create
than
a nice
anything.
framework for them to do the best they can, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So, Roderick, exactly like this, like, it's talking about time back, yeah? And I remember it was kind of by accident, yeah? Because when I started to run the company, yeah, uh, it's a real estate. So a lot of people, when it's real estate, I have 177 clients, and everybody wants to talk to me. Yeah, the managers want to talk to me, the clients want to talk to me. I'm thinking these people are gonna kill me when I sleep. There are too many, So I start with the team, and I said one of my managers, her name was Eva. I said, Eva, look at me from now. You are Harry. You are Harry. So I don't want any phone calls come to me of anybody. Yeah, once a week you come and tell me if somebody call you what they want and why they want to talk to me or whatever they want to talk to me. They talk to you. You took the decision. Yeah, they cannot talk to me because the people gonna kill me. So, but also the other thing is that for the employees by accident, yeah, because they're all coming to ask me questions. I don't say I cannot work, I cannot do anything, but I'm asking questions. I put something in the back of the office that said, okay, don't come to ask me any question if you don't have at least 2, 3 solutions.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm thinking if I either do this or I'm providing solution all the time. I don't even they are good or not. So by accident, yeah, I created this culture in the company that they come, yeah, even some of them were joking in the office, oh, Harry's useless, you need to come with your own solutions, blah, blah. They were even making a joke. However, in the nice way, but somehow this culture comes into the company that they all start to come with the solution. I said, Harry, because you have this here you go. This is the problem, these are the 3 solutions. Okay, great. I said, okay, now pick one. So shall I pick one? I said, of course, pick one. You came with the solution. Why shall I pick one? It, who who cares if I pick it or you pick it? Probably you're more qualified to choose the solution you came out with them. Which one you think is better? And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we have to try the other ones. I don't have a magic one, right?
Hmm.
So, so the without knowing, I was empowered them to don't depend on me. That was empowered them to be what we call it um, to think creatively how to solve their own problem or their specific role, and somehow they start to develop a sense of ownership in the company. Yeah, they are working in this company because they come with the decision, they execute the decisions. I give them freedom and I release what we call it, control. Sometimes the entrepreneurs want to control everything. I micromanage everything. I was, very flexible with them for my own sake because I had to do it myself. So I prefer to give more control, more flexibility, and that was the outcome, Roderick. Which was impressive. The day that the guest told me this, I didn't know what to do. I said, "This is a good thing. This is a bad thing. That I get fired from my own company. Shall I go and watch TV and make money doing nothing?" So a lot of weird things happen, which is another topic for another conversation because everybody talk how to deal with failure. Nobody talks how to deal with success. And for me, it was a huge struggle be sitting in my house making money and doing nothing. To the point that I opened a restaurant, I lost 200,000 pounds. It was a big disaster. But this is another conversation. So, Roderick, why time and I want that you expand on this, yeah, because I think it's important. Sometimes as entrepreneur we start the company, yeah, and we have our own little mess, and then we decide to expand, and what we expand is a big mess. And I guess that this is when this is at that point is when your clients call you to help them out. But I think that as entrepreneurs, there are different stages. We can't be good at all stages. It's impossible. There are people that they are good at 0 to 1, 0 to 1 million. There are people good and 1 million to 10 million. There are people that they are good 10 million to 100 million. I met one guy in this podcast the other day. He's 100 million to a billion. That's the thing that he knows what to do. It's unbelievable. So some people, everyone is wired to with the certain skill. And obviously, it's almost impossible that the entrepreneur can get good at all these stages. Yeah. So you always need coaches. You always need mentors. Yeah. So um, what was your path in your career that you decided that this is what you want to help people? You want to help people to have something priceless, which is time back, um, because I think that this is something that money cannot buy. especially for me. For me, my time is everything. Yeah, and sometimes I'm just walking on the park. Yeah, but it's I prefer to do that than to be working in a business and to make maybe a couple of extra 2 millions, if that makes sense. I love my time, and when the entrepreneurs get the time, you can get more in health, in energy, in a lot of things. Because how many entrepreneurs that they work without stopping, running a company 40, 60 hours, they don't talk with the wife, they don't talk with the children, they are all stressed out, and then you hear, hey, Peter, whatever, died from out of a heart attack. Yeah. So that mission in life that you took, which is give back time to the entrepreneurs, is priceless, and I know that they will always grateful for the service that you provide to them, because you can give them something back that the most priceless asset that a human being can have, you giving it back. And this is something they will never forget, and obviously they cannot do it by themselves, because I've also been there. You have a small mess, you span, you're gonna span a big mess, and then how you systemize that is really impossible, because you're busy running the big mess. So, Roderick, what made you to make this your life mission? What inspired you to do that?
So I think we started off the show. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I only worked for someone for about 2.5, 3 years, and it nearly killed me, literally.
Wow.
Um,
Why, Roderick?
and
Was so much stress, or what is it?
yeah, I was 23, 24 years old, and I have a book, $1 Million Flip Flops.
Ah, wow. We're gonna
And
talk about that later.
yeah, we can talk about that later, but I talk a lot about it in the book only because that was really the shift. That's the answer to your question, is when I started to focus on time, because I was 23, 24. I grew up with nothing. We had a little tiny house and no money, and if I wanted something when I was younger, I had to figure out a way to go hustle and earn a few bucks to buy a bike or a Nintendo or shoes,
Wow.
whatever I wanted. And so when I was 23, 24, I took a job with a Fortune 100 company in sales. I shut down the two companies I was running at that time to take this job. And I was making more in a month, Harry, than my parents ever made in a year.
Wow.
And I was anxious and depressed, and at times found myself having suicidal thoughts. And I thought that I had achieved everything at a really young age. So why did I feel this way? And I just woke up every day with that sinking, is this all there is feeling. And I think a lot of people, it's what we call a midlife crisis, right? They get to the top of this mountain when they're 30, 40, 50 years old, but they soon realize it wasn't their mountain. It was somebody else's mountain that was laid out for them by their parents or their pastor or their society or whoever
Um,
gave them this map to quote unquote success. And so when I sold my company a couple years back, I guess it was 2022, 2.5 years ago, I semi-retired at 42. I wrote this book, which I didn't know if three people would read it, and we hit number one in 7 categories on Amazon on launch day,
wow.
which was fascinating to me. I wrote it, I said, if I can help one person, it's silly for all this stuff just to die in my head, all the things I've learned along the way. But it was that low point of my life where I built the tools. You can see back here, I probably have 500 books here,
Yeah, I can see them. Yeah.
and lifelong learner. So when I tried to pull myself out of that hole, Harry, I went back to all the books that I had loved reading. I've always been a human performance, psychology, personal development. Why do we do the things we do, since I was really young. So I put the tools to use from those different books and built a system for myself to make sure I never ended up in that place again. And so that was the metric I used for every other business I started from then forward. When I sold the business, when I decided to move up here to the mountains, any major decision I make in my life, I run through, I call it the waves method in the book, but ultimately it's a decision filter. And a lot of it revolves around your why. Why do you want something? And we hear a lot about your why, and that's part of the waves method. That's the first step. But when you talk about the guy that wants to go from 1 million to 2 million or 2 million to 5 or 5 to 10, my immediate question is why? Is it a vanity metric, or are you comfortable where you're at and you're running? Why do you want to sell the business? Why do you want to get out? There's most people, when they really start to deduce what happiness and freedom and success really means to them, not what Instagram tells them it means or what their neighbor tells them it means, but for me, it's not having to wear real shoes. It's not setting an alarm for the last 15 years. There's things, not having notifications on my phone. That's success to me, irrespective of the dollar amount in
Absolutely.
my bank account. So being able to travel, so I built businesses that served my life and not the other way around. And I have a quote, it's tattooed on my arm. I have plaster it everywhere. It's in the book, but it's a Thoreau quote. And it's the true cost of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. And when you build a business or turn your business around with a focus on what do I want a Tuesday in 2026 to look like, you're going to build a very different business than I've got to get to 10 million and I don't know why.
Yeah. And then, Roderick, the so why when you are working with your clients, yes, and they see you like, because for them, when you come in there and say, look, let's work together, let's build some system, let's build some operation, because I can give you the time back. Some of them will think that that this is not possible, that they're trying everything, and the more they try, they had to work. So how you navigate these challenges? And the other thing is, when it comes to mentorship, and we find a lot of resistance with entrepreneurs because they think that we're there to tell them what to do, and sometimes they also don't like that, or the ego is not in the right place, because at the end of the day, in order for you to grow, and that's been my own experience, you have to surrender to that ego part of you. Of course, we all this ego is important because it's the first place that we become entrepreneurs, in the first place. But we the more we change our behavior, the more we move into the direction that we don't need to prove anything to anybody, the more that we surrender uh, to evaluate what is important really in life, your health, your time, and and you run your business effectively. I interviewed one guy in this very same podcast um, a long time ago, and the guy have three businesses were making 1 million in each of them, and the guy was vomiting blood. And he told me, Harry, I decided that I'm running this business. The business is not running me. And he took off and went 1 year to Thailand, and he
I'll be in
came back.
Thailand in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And he came back, more healthy, more happy. Nothing
Yeah.
happened to the business. The business struggled a little bit, but when he came back, he managed to, and everything was fine. But so sometimes we have to take that decision, because, like I said, the if you plan if you don't plan accurately how to run your business, can have a major impact in your health, and I'm with the opinion that can actually literally kill you with
Yeah.
you knowing it. So how do you face the resistance from entrepreneurs, and or do you work with them first on mindset before coaching them? Because first they had to be open, they had to recognize that they need help, and as entrepreneurs we are very bad recognizing this.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to unpack there because one, I don't work with people that aren't problem aware. My job is not to convince you that you need help. That's not I don't care to do that with my life. For the people who are problem aware, that's where we can step in. And there's a difference between a coach and a consultant. And I think people don't necessarily understand that if they're not from this world. But, when I went to Brown, they beat into you literally that the client is creative, resourceful, and whole. You have the answers. As an effective coach, I can work with the CEO of a hospital as well as I can work with a school teacher. The industry doesn't necessarily matter because, again, you're a human being. And just like you asking your employees to bring solutions, people have the solution within them. They just need help teasing and cajoling it out. It's in there. And then I specifically will say, all right, I'm putting on my consultant hat now. And that's only because having been in real estate development and construction for 20 years, there are things I know that may or may not help you. I can give you a tool for your toolbox. And it is a disservice to you to do a traditional coaching approach where I'm going to ask 40 questions to get you to the answer I already know versus just going, hey, here's a suggestion. So I think it's the difference between those two things. And the people that come to me, a lot of it's in messaging. It's picking that niche. It's speaking to their pain points all the time. When they hear me talk, they know that I have the answers to what they want. I've lived the answers. I didn't just read a book about it. I built companies and I've been to 65 countries. I walk the talk. This business as well. I'll be in Asia for all of January and my business won't die. And I call it the test I use is called the phoneless vacation. If you can't go on vacation for 2 weeks and throw your phone in the hotel room, you don't have a business, you have a job. Now, my job is to figure out why you're an employee in your own business and if you want to fix that. Some people don't, and that's okay. But for the people that do, there's people like you and me and lots of other very talented people who have sending the elevator back down, right? Like we've been there, we figured it out, and now we're sending it back down for you to bring you up with us.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, Roderick, tell us about your book. What inspired you to write this book? Show it to us. Where can we buy this book?
Yeah, so it's called $1,000,000 Flip-Flops: Peace, Prosperity, and the Courage to Change Course in Life and Business. And I wrote that book for younger me, and it's been its own journey launching a book, which anybody who's written a book can tell you.
Oh my God,
It's
tell me
about
about it.
10% writing the book and 90% other things I didn't expect. But for me, it was neat to see it go to #1 bestseller and new release. And I actually went up above some of my heroes and I would message them and be like, hey, my book's doing better, which was awesome. But for me, it's really, I had a preacher in Melbourne, Australia, email me a few weeks back, long email, and it just said, hey, he was snowboarding over the weekend. He was listening to the audiobook on Audible. He's like, I finished your book this weekend. I just want to reach out and say what it meant to me. And he sent this really long email. That's the juice, man. Like it's not the 68 cents I made for him downloading the downloading the Audible, right? It's that my words somehow can impact somebody else's life for the better.
Yeah, and then let's talk about fulfillment, Roderick, because you're talking about this happened to me as well. That sometimes I'm in London in the metro, yeah, and somebody tell me, Harry, I always dress like very colorful, very difficult to miss me, and the guys are, Harry, is that you, man? I saw you in this event. You say this. These are my wife. These are my children. Man, I did what you say. My business is growing. Thank you so much. And then you arrive. I'm a little bit embarrassed in the metro. Yeah, everybody looking at me, and on the street. This also happened on the street a lot in London. But in the end, I arrive home and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. That's something that I said. I don't even remember which event. Actually, make a difference in someone's life. At that level of fulfillment, Roderick, that you feel, um, it's like you get paid in a better currency, much better than even money.
Absolutely.
Appreciation, love. It keeps you happy. Keep you healthy. Then you don't get sick. So tell me a little bit more about this because sometimes exactly you talk about climbing somebody else's mountain. Yeah, I remember my real estate business. Yeah, I did it because I needed the money. Yeah, purely for the money. Yeah, my dad got sick and I was very upset. I was young and I didn't have money to go and see him. Got cancer and he's fine now. Yeah, but I was very upset. So I said, okay, I have to do something that makes money. And then my friend comes and said, let's do real estate or do real estate, and real estate makes money. So I was then inside real estate and running this business, but um, honestly, it was not really my passion. I knew that, and then I want to make the money, and then I made the first million. I don't even notice. It was my accountant who told me, and it did. I saw that it's gonna be a big deal, and it wasn't. After 2 days, three
Either
days,
is 10 million, either is
it
100
didn't
million.
last. It
That's
didn't
what
last.
people don't understand.
I thought that this was my mission in life, and once you get it, then it didn't last 2 days. I'm like, back to work.
Yeah.
Busy. So I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here? So until you don't find what you truly love, yeah, and uh, for me, is make be a contribution for others. Yeah, I do a lot of conference. I love doing workshops. I have a workshop that I'm in Speakers at least. I train people how to overcome the fear of speaking and to grow the business and to speak worldwide. And we have a lot of fun in the workshop. And this is something that I really, really love to do. Muhammad Ali's son, the son of the boxer, was one of the graduates for the last workshop in London, which was amazing. So, what but not so why so entrepreneurs sometimes they're running a business, yeah, and this business, don't get me wrong, all my career, yeah, if I didn't have the real estate business, I couldn't get anywhere because of the principles or the knowledge or um, the experience. Also, the funding came from that business. Uh, so sometimes you build the business. Sometimes you climb another people's mountain, but it can be as a foundation to climb your own mountain, right? So, how do you find the path that what you really want to do, what you really love to do? Um, it was a discovery journey, or from the beginning, from your first business, because you start doing the refurbishing, now you're doing coaching. So it's has been a discovery process for you to achieve what you love. So, what challenges do you have finding what you love and finding fulfillment, which is even sometimes more difficult than make money?
Yeah. I mean, they're great questions. And I've had, 12 plus businesses, not
Wow.
all in real estate and development and construction. And the lifestyle entrepreneur, it goes back to, what do I want my days to look like? Who do I want to work with? Who do I want to spend my time with? I enjoy coaching because I can do it from anywhere. I enjoy the time I spend with people. It's one of those flow activities where an hour goes by and I don't even realize I've been working. So
You don't
that's a
even know
clue
that you're
for
working,
people.
yeah.
When you're doing something that doesn't feel like work, it's permanent vacation. I don't feel like I'm working right now. I won't feel like I'm
Neither
working
do
later on this
I.
coaching call.
Yeah.
So when you can find those things that you truly enjoy, and we have a genius model, and the example I use is, and I'm sure you've seen something like this or similar, but it's, let's say you're a resume writer and you want to help homeless people get their first job back in society. Well, they can't pay you. So while it's a noble activity, and maybe you can do that with something else, that's not a business. So you have to find the thing you love, the people you can help, but the people who can also afford to pay you. So in the center of that is typically where your business idea lays. And then you can then use that money to fuel other passions. And for me, as an example, we donate 100% of everything we do to our foundation, Send a Student Leader Abroad. That's
Wow.
my passion project. I want to send 1 million kids on international trips. And our first school, the kids got selected last week. So the dream that this was a year and a half ago is a reality. And so I can take my business, the money I make from my business, and redistribute that into these kids' lives, kids that otherwise couldn't afford a trip like this, to go have that experience that, we're all the same people, all 8, 9 billion of us. I've traveled a lot. I've been to every corner of this globe, and everybody wants the same things you do. And our guiding principle is there's no them, there's only us. And when you can give kids that experience, then when they hear on the news about what they did and what those people are saying, there are no those people. It's just human beings on the other side of the water. And they can take that experience back to a community that's not having that conversation. So that's what Send a Student Leader Abroad does. the business fuels both of those. So now I get to do everything I want to do in one big tidy package. But it was all because I sat on a beach in Thailand after I retired and said, what do I want chapter two to look like? What do I really want it to look like? We just don't, you know this, Harry. I mean, we just don't spend time. We spend more time looking up car reviews and booking hotels and looking for a good restaurant than we do designing our life. And then we wonder why it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to turn out. The example I give is it's like hopping in the car and typing in the GPS somewhere fun instead of Six Flags. And then you wonder why you don't end up at the amusement park.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the sometimes it's important, what do we really want, because some you're starting business and you go inside this dynamic, right? And okay, you have to make money, you have to make profit, you have to do this. But if you haven't worked on yourself, yeah, and you haven't find peace within you, that also will impact the business. As entrepreneurs, a big piece of it is to work in ourselves, right? And for me, works a lot to change the environment. Yeah, I find that when I'm in London, but then we travel to Dubai or US or Spain or you name it, right? Changing the environment, you have a lot of new ideas.
Absolutely.
You have a lot of new what you can make a more deep reflection. Yeah, what do you want? What do you want to do, and what will makes you happy? Yeah. So how but for that you have to start this journey to work on yourself and to be at peace with yourself, right? Because a lot of people are running businesses and doing business because they want to prove that they can do better, yeah, and they get trapped, yeah. Yesterday I was watching the documentary of Donald Trump in Netflix, yeah, and it's all a constant battle to prove that he's better than his dad. uh, and we'll do whatever it takes to achieve that, and okay, develop this person and has lived the whole life like that, yeah. So, but when you work on yourself and you realize that you don't have to prove anything to anybody, um, I think you are at more peace with yourself, and then beautiful projects like you're doing, taking these kids for travel, can emerge, like to run to do projects to what we call it become a conscious entrepreneur. So it's not only to make money, but to do good for the planet, for society. But in order for you to become that person, you have to do this internal work on yourself, because let's face it, you run 12 businesses, yeah. Everybody knows what happens when you run any business. A lot of negative emotion comes. Supply doesn't want to pay you, the client wants to pay you later, the employee didn't come to work, an unexpected accident happened, and now you need to deal with lawyers and the police, that these people never existed in your life before, and now you need to deal with these people, and I'm just running a business, and now a lot of new people start to show up into your life. The that you didn't so that you're gonna talk with this type of people, lawyers, police, this and that. You know what I mean? So a lot of things happen when you are an entrepreneur, and so a lot of negative emotion comes, and if we are not able to work on ourselves and release this negative emotion, can end up and also about our past. If in our childhood, for example, you have this thing, okay, I grew up with very little resources, so now I will never be poor again, so I want to be a billionaire now. Are you mind? Can you mind, just for you to prove that your life become a nightmare, without and then you become a billion. Maybe you make a two decision, or you waste it, or somebody else do something bad with the money that you generated. So things like that. So how do you manage to canalize in all these negative emotions, to work on yourself, to be at peace, to be from this space? Because I can tell, I can smell it because I'm there. So you can see the energy when you're talking with someone that doesn't need to prove anything to anybody, and it's at peace, with themselves. A lot of good things can come out of when you are from this space, but it requires a lot of work internally and a lot of courage to say, I need help. I have to work on myself. The more I work on myself, the better impact I can make for the world. So how you realize that, and what you did to achieve this?
I've probably read 1,500 books on the subject. So that's, my wife jokes because I was that kid. We've known each other since we were little, and I was that kid listening to Tony Robbins on my rollerblades. While everybody else was going to the movies and figuring out, what junk food to buy. I was just weird like that, and that I just have always enjoyed figuring out why we do what we do. But you touched on it earlier when money's just an amplifier. If you're miserable at $10,000, you're going to be miserable at $10 million. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Then that's hard for people who have never had money to comprehend. And it's actually chapter 1 of my book is a quote. It starts with a quote from Jim Carrey, and I'm paraphrasing, but I wish everyone could get and have everything they've ever wanted so that they can realize that's not it, and then they can start to live their life. I think if we can go into it with that mindset, and it's what I told the kids last week at the keynote, it's being independent of the good opinion of others. I know that I give my best in everything I do. I don't care if other people think I do or not. And when you can
You don't have
have
to
that
prove
kind of
anything to anybody.
self-reliance, it's to your point, it's a lot of magic comes from that.
Yeah, because you're powerful. You're coming from the space of love. You're coming from the space of contribution, and and you generally want to help people. When you're from this space, it's a beautiful space to be, because you're gonna you running the life. You design the life how you wanted to live. Imagine, because as entrepreneurs, we a lot of pressure comes to to ourselves. Yeah, and people have a jobs, and they say that the job is stressful. You always see
A
running.
different kind of stress.
Yeah. You're stressed, but at the end of the day, the month you get paid, So you run your business, if you're stressed out, and if you're not careful, you also lose money. So it's a different type of stress, yeah.
Yeah. One of the kids last week, they had brilliant questions. I mean, it was unbelievable hearing hearing these kids. They're better than adults questions, to be
Absolutely.
quite honest.
Yeah.
But one of the kids he said, well, what if I don't want to be an entrepreneur? What if I want the security of having a job? And where I'm going with this, but I asked him, what happens when Bob comes in on Monday and just tells you you're fired, either because he doesn't like you or because the sky's not blue enough that day, or you said something that made him mad, and now you have to go look for a job. I said, do you know how many people I have to piss off to lose my company? I'm like, it is a big difference. I don't consider a job security at all. That's the scariest thing in the world, to have somebody can just tell me I'm not working tomorrow. So it's what level of stress do you want to deal with?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why from this podcast we encourage a lot, to everyone to become an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur, you can design what we call it, Roderick, your millionaire lifestyle. Yeah, you don't even need to have a million in your bank account. you If you are at peace with yourself, and you work on yourself, and you're coming from the space of love, and you just surrender this pressure that society give us, that we have to prove something to your wife, to your kids, to your dad, because when you are in this, I have to prove something that I'm better, that I can do it, so people can love me, or people, I need to do that, so I receive that. So it's like forcing an outcome, and and this this path is tough. It's hard. It's you're forcing things, yeah, to come to you. The other day in this podcast, somebody asked me, Harry, what is the fastest path from point A to B? And I'm, I got a degree in chemical engineering, so I'm mathematics. So I said straight line, and the guy said, Harry, no, it's not a straight line. It's the path with less resistance. Think about the river, and I love this phrase that he shared with me, because um, is when you are at peace, you will find the path of less resistance to have a bigger impact. But Roderick, most of us don't want to accept that we need help. Most of us don't want to accept that we need a coach. Most of us don't think that that we can that would be shame to ask for help, and we'd be also shame to work on ourselves, to say, you know what, hey, I have to work on myself, and I have to get better at this. But if the entrepreneurs or the human beings are consciously driven in get the better version of themselves, they're gonna find someone. Uh, these energies aligned together, and I'm sure you're attracting people that are on the same space. I want to make a big impact of the world. That's the other thing. Your clients are the reflection of you. If you're doing this charity work and helping other people, your clients, as soon as they make money, they are gonna do the same. And can you mind? This is a huge ripple effect in the world. So, Roderick, if people are in love with the conversation and they want to learn more about you, they want to buy your book, they want to connect with you, how this process work? How can they find you?
So the book's at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere you can buy books. Million Dollar Flip Flops. You can also get me at milliondollarflipflops.com, or my name, Rodric, Rodric Lenhart, Lenhart. I'm mostly on Instagram, but I'm on all the channels. But Google my name, you'll find 12,000 things to know about me, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Roderick. And with that note, see you guys in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneur like Roderick break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.